feedback that I've gotten from the introduction. Okay, so this is fine. So from the introduction, I mean, just like we always feel for people like us every time, we believe that sales is something that is for everyone. Okay, so whether you're in the energy space or whether you're in the construction, sector, wherever you work, sales is relevant. Okay, and even if you are not facing the customer, at some point, you may also have to sell yourself. To sell your skills, to sell, the products that you have, to sell your services as a consultant and all of that. It is important that we understand how sales works. Okay. So interestingly, some of us are also working already in that space, in business development, in consulting, in advisory, and all of that. But for us as salespeople that have taken some time to also sit back and look at sales, as a profession, we've realized that quite a number of people are just living by, if I may use that word, in terms of selling. We all know that, it's one job that a lot of organizations, a lot of employers can pick people on the streets, literally, to just join the company and start doing something for them. So they give them product knowledge and then they ask them to go and sell, all right? And then, of course, sometimes it works, many of the times it doesn't work because, these people do not have the requisite knowledge or the training to be able to do what is right, as to the product or the service that they're supposed to, to present to the public or to sell. Okay, so what we would attempt to do in the next few hours is to look at, something like the fundamentals of selling. And then, of course, in our capacity, in our various roles, we should be able to come up with marketing plans, to be able to sell anything, that we intend to sell, as professionals. Okay, and then, of course, even at the end of the day, you are not going to be working in a proper selling role. Okay, the people that are doing the selling, it's also right, it's also valid for you to be able to understand what they are doing so that you can be able to provide useful advice, so that you can be able to understand the processes and everything that is going on in that function. And then, of course, you'll be able to either collaborate or support them in whatever form that you're supposed to do. Or eventually, some of us, I've had someone said is a founder. So at some point, you may have to also hire salespeople to go out there and talk to people about your product that you have. So it's also important that you understand how this works so that people don't come back and start telling you all kinds of stories. Okay. So we'll make an attempt at, looking at the foundation of selling. And then, of course, like I said, look at marketing plan development. Okay. So I don't know what the practice is, but I know I would just recommend that on the top of every hour, we could have some 5 minutes break just for us to stretch our legs or maybe take a glass of water or coffee for those that would like to do so. Okay. So thank you for the introduction. And thank you, everyone, for the introduction. For me, I've been a salesperson all my life. Okay. Maybe while I was in the university at Creative Fair. And then, of course, strike is not new. So those periods of ASU strike in the 90s, yes, we were told. In fact, there was a particular, I was looking at it, I was like, nothing different, about 30 years ago, about 30 years ago, nothing different, really. There was a 94, 95 session that was completely canceled, because of ASU strike, so those opportunities were, opportunities that I tried my hands on a few things. And then eventually when I graduated, having read microbiology, and then of course, since I left university, I've not seen the microscope. Okay, maybe when I go to the hospital, I haven't looked through a microscope, So, and interestingly, my first job was a sales job. Okay, so I picked interest in it, and then of course, ever since then, I've not looked back. I wish I could succeed more, but I believe what I have also been able to do with sales, I believe I can also, make some impact, which we've been trying to do. Okay, so we're going to be looking at the art and science of selling, the buyer behavior. Every buyer has a behavior, whether you are buying, okay, the list, whether you are buying candy or you're buying a jet. There are certain behaviors, that have been identified to be the process. Okay, so as a salesperson, you must also be, familiar with these behaviors so that you can be able to interact with these people, appropriately, so that you can be able to provide the right kind of support for them, when they come on to buy your product, or your service. And then, of course, we also look at the emotions and the logics, of buying. So first, we are going to look at the art and science of selling. Okay, so in wide conversations, it's been agreed that sales is both an art and a science. Okay, and of course, it's a proper blend. Depends on your circumstances, but really, every sales process has elements of art and science in it for you to be able to achieve, the desired result. Okay. And then the interesting thing about this is that both the art of it and the science of it can be taught. Okay, so I usually like to ask, if I'm in a face-to-face class and sometimes online, I ask and I ask people, do you think that a sales job is is it a natural skill that people can have, or is something that can be taught? Okay, so and then we have various kind of responses, which I expected anyway. There are people who have come, who were born with certain abilities, maybe communication, which is an essential skill in selling. Some people have the, the gap, the ability to put words together. And then, of course, some people have, good interpersonal skills, whether they are selling or not. So some of these elements of the skills that you need for selling can come naturally. Okay, then there are people who don't know how to speak very well. Okay, I attended a very funny secondary school. We struggled to speak our English, even though I came out with good results in my secondary school. I would say it was still one of the best, in our locality. But it wasn't supposed to be the one, where we speak very good English. Okay, so I had to, and then of course you will see along the line, I might still be speaking some broken English, along the line. So, but some of these things can be taught. Okay, so there are people that have come up like a talent, that they can speak fluently, and there are people that would have to learn it. Okay, so both of elements of selling can be learned if if you have put your mind to it. Okay. Oh, sorry, okay. So in taking a buying decision, what most people to ask is not just the information, but how the information is presented. So when you are trying to sell to someone, when you are presenting logical information, that's the science. Okay, you're trying to say, if you have this problem, if you apply this solution, then it works. Okay, then your problem is solved. But the way you convey the message, okay, the style of your, of passing across the message is the heart, because it's the visual part, is the hearing part that the person sees. Okay, but the facts of the product, which can also as well be, be done through some other means. Okay, I can as well send you an email telling you about our product. I can as well sit down in front of you and begin to engage you. So the art of, the part of using human skills, to be able to convey the message, to be able to engage you, to be able to interact with you, is the art of it. But the content, and the process and some other elements of it, are the science part of the selling. Okay, so explaining further. So when we are talking about science, so there are certain processes in every sales. I mean, of course, when we begin to discuss it, we begin to see, I'm sure, for some of us that have sold in the past, some of us have sold things in the past, but you did not pay attention to the process. So these processes are always there, okay? But when you are aware of them, then you can pay attention to them. Then you can know that, okay, this customer is at this level, okay, and know what to do. So the science of sales is actually being able to recognize this journey, this path that a customer, takes while they are trying to buy your product. And every organization, every serious selling organization has a customer path. So sometimes from their own end, they call it their own route to market. Okay, so how do we get to our customers? But there is also a part that the customer takes in buying our product, which is the buying journey. So for us as a business, as you know, your business, you must be able to understand this clear part. So if a customer wants to buy the kind of product that we sell, how do they move? What do they do? Where do they search for information and all of those things? So that is the science. So we must be able to understand this clearly. Okay. So if you're selling ice cream, for example, and you know where customers would like to buy ice cream, and then you take your ice cream to the market square, your premium ice cream, and you take it to the market square, then you are not going to sell. Okay, because the people that will naturally consume ice cream are not going to be found in that place. Yes, you can find a few people. Okay, yes, I know that there are those ones playing, going around with the truck and playing music and all of those things. Okay, but I'm talking about the the premium ones. I'm talking about the cold stone and all of that. Okay, so the idea is that you must be able to understand the decision-making process for the customer, which is the science. Okay, so you can also plan this process as a business. You can disseminate certain information at different stages. We're going to look at them. I'm just trying to explain generally. We're going to look at each of these stages, and then what are the expectations of the customers? What do they need at certain stage of this? And that's the science. So you are diving into it. What are the struggles? What are the objections that the customers are going to come up with? That's the science. Okay? And then, of course, the research aspect of it, where you also try to find out what are the pain points, what are the experiences of people when they are using this kind of product. What would they like to overcome? That's the science. Okay? That's the science, because you are trying to find a link between the customer's problem and then the solution that your product can provide. That's the science. It's because if you don't have this fit, we call it the product market fit. If you don't get this, you can have fantastic products in the market, but when you are not able to connect it to a particular problem that is to be solved, or the particular audience that is to be solved, then your product is just going to be, one of those in the museum, something good that, that was in the past. Okay, so the science of selling helps us to be able to identify our customers, helps us to be able to do research, to be able to understand what are their pain points, what are the kind of value that they require this kind of product or service to do for them. Okay, and when you now have all of this, organizations believe that if salespeople follow this process, right, they will be able to achieve success. So what do I mean? So if I say that, everyone that comes to our company to ask for an information about a particular product, so this is what you do. Everyone that works, for example, if you are in the real estate sector, so if anyone calls into our company line and is making inquiries, now the science of selling means that every person that calls in like that, there's something we must do to follow up. So if the salespeople understand this, then there's a sequence of activity, and then people can be able to achieve more success, because you now have a well-defined pathway that you can use to be able to follow through with the customer, and then be able to bring them to the point of taking action to buy your product. Okay, so the heart of it is the creative and the human side. Okay, so we define the science as understanding the customer problem, which is through research. So you understand that science talks about research. So that's why, so when you're hearing about research, it says when you're hearing about product research, customer insights, those things are the science, because sometimes they also follow the conventional method of doing research in science. Okay, so now the art of it is the creative and human side of selling. Okay, so many times buying is more of how the customer is engaged than the attraction for the product itself. I'm sure there are many of us that have bought products that we never really needed. Let me use that word. Okay, but because the way we were engaged, because of the way the salesperson interacted with us, you just fell in love with the person, both. and then you felt like, oh, I just love this guy. Let me support his ministry, in quotes. Okay, so the essence of the set, of what the product will do is important, which is the science, but the way you also engage is also very important. And there are fantastic products, and then you have a salesperson that is very repulsive, that is not excited about what he's selling. Then he kills the product, and you are like, this product is not going to be good, all right? Because the person that is handling the product is not doing a good job. So both elements of this selling are very important, okay? And then I made a point here that a good salesman must be able to create or dramatize a compelling picture of the product's unique benefits. Okay, so sometimes we say that salespeople are actors. Okay, so because you are going there to play a script. So you leave your office, you go to a customer or a client, you are going there to go act a drama. Okay, but this drama is not one way. So it's not, there's no audience that just will be watching you. Okay, so as a salesperson, if you have the ability, if you are very innovative about the way that you convey your message to your clients, you will get them engaged more. Okay, because these people are human beings, they are not robots, they are not ATM machines. That ATM machine does not know whether you are smiling or frowning. Okay, just put in your card, right? Punch your code, and ATM machine will respond and give you your card, your cash, right? But imagine if ATM was a human being. First, you will get there, you will say, good afternoon. How are you today? All right? And that's the heart of selling. So if you greet ATM very well, you relate with ATM very well, ATM says, okay, please, can you give me new notes? So ATM will give you new notes, right? But if you go there, ATM is a human being, right? We assume. And then you didn't greet ATM. And then you are shouting on ATM. Right? You're shouting, you people are not smart in this bank, da 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 da. And then the guy is also, and the guy has been under pressure. Okay. So you need new notes. Do you have new notes? What would ATM do for you at that point? I'm sure you can all guess. Oh, sorry, there is no new notes. ATM is going to pack all the dirty notes and give you. Okay? Because ATM, at that instance is a human being. So that's why the heart of it is also good. Right? So the heart of it will help us to be able to engage, because for everyone that you want to sell to, you need to connect with them. You need to engage them. You need to sell yourself to them. Okay, I don't need to sell myself to a robot. Just go in there. The robot doesn't need my smile. Doesn't even want to know whether I'm wearing agbada or I'm just wearing a t-shirt. But when I'm going for a business, because I am a human being, because of the art of the selling, I want to look like I will be accepted. Okay, so it's also about the skills for building relationship. I think I've explained that. So that's the heart of it. How you can engage people, how you can connect with people, how you can sell yourself to people, and then they buy you, because people would always buy you before they buy your products. Okay, so it's very important because people want to relate with people that they think they can work with. Especially if you have a service that that is long term. Not a transactional thing. Okay, so they look at you, they say, okay, can this person be coming to our office every time? Those are part of the considerations before they decide for your company. So if you don't look like someone that they want to be seen in their office every day, and you want to be providing a service for them, then if your service is not premium, and really, sometimes we are not saying that this is the only factor, but sometimes maybe you have a competitor, and two of you are offering exactly the same value, the same thing. And then the point of decision, then they are going to be looking at these other factors. They are going to be looking at, who is more engaging, who is more lively, who plays with us when we come in. Then those factors are going to come in, because people will just root for the person that they think that they can work with. So that's why it's important to learn the heart of it. Okay, so we're going to look at some of those skills. Okay, so I mentioned that buyers have behaviors. Okay, so either you are a consumer or you are someone who wants to buy to resell. Everybody, there's a pattern of behavior. So consumer buying behavior is defined as the sum total of the consumer's attitude, the preferences, the intentions, and decisions regarding the consumer's behavior in the marketplace when purchasing a product or service. Okay, so I don't know. So how do we do this when people have questions? What do they do? Do we wait till the end of the training, or they are allowed to stop us midway? Just some clarifications.
Okay, sir. Most times we wait to the end of the class, but if you would like to entertain questions during the lecture, sir, you can.
Okay.
And people drop their questions in the chat box sometimes,
Okay,
and if you permit, they can also, yeah, you can also say it out loud.
okay, that's fine. All right. So, but I hope we're getting some. We're getting some things here now. Okay. So, so like I said, every consumer has a pattern of behavior, including every one of us that I'm talking to, including myself. Okay, because I am also a customer to some other companies. I also buy some other things. So there's a behavior, there's a pattern of behavior that subconsciously that I put out when I'm going to buy things. I'm not thinking of them, but that's the way I will behave because of of what I need to buy. Okay. So the behavior of people is often motivated by the need. So if you want to buy something, the greatest factor of you buying whatever you want to buy is the need. Okay. So sometimes we try to distinguish, we try to make a distinction between need and want. Okay. So so sometimes I use a very simple example, right? So I use the example of paracetamol and multivitamin. Okay, the vitamin C or multivitamin. So when you need a paracetamol, you really need a paracetamol. Okay, you don't take paracetamol after your meal just because you feel like taking a drug. When there's a need for you to take paracetamol, when you have a throbbing headache, you have fever, that's when you take a paracetamol. That's a need. There's nothing. If there is no paracetamol, you look for it everywhere. Okay. If you're treating a bout of malaria, when you miss your paracetamol, if you don't take it away from home, you look for somewhere to buy the paracetamol. Okay. But the multivitamin, if you miss your dose of multivitamin in the morning, it doesn't stop you from going to work. It doesn't stop you from doing anything. So you can still live your normal life, for that day. So that's the simple distinction. That's what I use to make a distinction between the need and the want. So what you want, you can always do away with it, but it's fine if you have it eventually. But what you need is what you need. There's no negotiation. You go out and get it. Okay. So people are always motivated by that need. So I can walk up to a supermarket or something. I will first of all go for my need. Then when I have excess cash, I can look at, oh, I like this thing. That's a want. Then I can buy it. But I won't leave what has taken me to the supermarket, okay, which is my need. I won't leave it and then go buy something that I just like. Oh, this thing is nice to have. I don't have a need for it. I don't know if you get my explanation. So anytime someone buys your product or you're trying to talk to a customer, most often we will get better results by talking to people that really need our product. The people that just want your product might just be time wasters. They won't take the action as quickly as possible, like those people that really need it. So, like I said, people are motivated by me. So it's important for us to understand the motivation of people. So Maslow comes in here. I'm sure some of us are familiar with this, right? So if you look at this, this pyramid, you will see, the progression. So the progression is always up, and I just pray that it doesn't go back. Unfortunately, a few instances, some people have to go from up down, but usually, every one of us goes from the base, okay, and maybe you just started working, and then what you just need. Well, and it's not everybody at that point, really. Some people have jumped that stage, maybe because they are born into affluence, certain family background, okay? But from people that start from the base, okay, you just need the basic things of life. There are many people like that. In fact, that's where you have most people. Okay, what they need is just the food, water, then to be able to attend to themselves. Okay, these are the people that interesting that when they see an expensive car, right? When they see somebody who is driving a Rolls Royce, to them, somebody is wasting money, right? Because they are the base of the pyramid, because they see, because that is not their need. Okay, so, but when you are able to afford food and then everything, then you begin to move to this level of safety. Okay, and that's what you see with some of us that maybe we're living in Ajegule, where we didn't have anything. Okay, so when you start working in it, you got a job in a bank, and then they are paying you money. Suddenly you realize that this Ajegule is not safe. If I'm coming back, they can snatch my phone. But you forgot that that's where you grew up. Okay, for those of us, I know most of us are in Abuja, so I can't find a quick example with Abuja. So you begin to realize that where you grew up now begins to look unsafe to you. And it's not a problem. It's only because your socio-economic status is changing. So what you were not so conscious about in the past, you began to get conscious about them. Okay, then you are moving up. Then the next is you move up. So you are not thinking about safety, you are not thinking about shelter, you can afford all of that. Then you are looking for a sense of belonging. So that's when people will now go to golf club, they want to go to polo club. You know, people that somebody that has not eaten, that does not have, that cannot pay house rent, cannot begin to look for polo club. Okay, cannot begin to look for Lions Club to join association. No. So you see that, and there were people that were never there. Okay, but things change for them, and they begin to see that, oh, they can afford the basic things of life. They can have, so they begin to move, and then you leave that stage, okay, of need for love and social belonging and inclusion. You begin to get to the point of self-esteem. So you had a house, one modest area, and then you began to feel like this is not where your mates are. You need to move to a place where your mates are living. So you begin to look for posh areas where you can build your house. That's where you begin to pay attention to your self-esteem. That's where you begin to feel like driving a Toyota. If your friends see you driving a Toyota, they will think that you are suffering. That's why you begin to think about buying a 4-wheel drive. Okay? Now, you leave all of that and then you move to self-actualization. Okay? This is where you have very few people. Okay? So somebody said a few weeks ago or a couple of months ago that Emilokon, right? Okay? So the guy feels that the only thing that will make meaning to him in life is to become president. And the same thing with the other man that has been contesting severally. Okay? The guy has made money, he's loved, he has everything. And he feels that if he doesn't answer His Excellency, GCFR, okay, then he has not come to this world. And then can I, say something interesting? Everybody's need is valid. Whether you are at the top, someone who is driving a Rolls Royce, or somebody who is looking for a self-contained accommodation, and then that self-contained, you put rug, you put your television, you put fridge, you put AC, everything is inside that one-bedded apartment. Okay? Every need that you have is valid. And it's just a function of your socio-economic class. So why am I saying all of this? Well, if you are selling a product that belongs to any of this group, right? If you are selling a product that is for self-esteem, and then you are talking to somebody who is in the physiological level, you are talking to the wrong person. Okay? If you are selling a product that belongs to someone of self-actualization, and then you are talking to somebody who is in the safety zone, you are going to go there, you are going to visit the person for the whole of the year, and you will not achieve any results. So that's why you have people that are buying, Rolls Royce. Somebody doesn't walk into a store and asking you for maybe a Range Rover 2022 edition, and then you are saying, oh, fuel consumption. What's the business of somebody that wants to buy a 150 million car with fuel consumption? That's not a consideration. Okay? But when you are at the level of safety, or you're moving to love and belonging, and then you have a car, that's when you can be thinking, Toyota can save fuel more than Honda. You begin to do all those comparisons. The people at the top, comparison of fuel consumption and second-hand value is none of their business. Some of them buy this Rolls Royce throughout their whole lifetime. They may not have drive it for more than 20 times. They are okay. So it is important for us that when we are selling our products, we understand who are the customers, where are our customers in this strata, okay? Where do they belong? So that when you see them, you identify them, and then you are talking to the right person. I hope we are all getting something. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
All right. Good evening. Good afternoon. Thank you, sir. Okay. Yes. So there are two major group of buyers, individuals and business. Okay, businesses. So we know that there are motivations for individuals buying, and there are motivations for companies buying. Okay, but we know that of course there will be differences, in these motivations. But the point is that there are motivations. So whether you are an individual or you are buying on behalf of your company, there are certain things that will motivate you to buy. Okay. So let's look at some contemporary motivators for buying. Okay. Some of these things have been tested and believed to be working very well. Okay, so giving, an organization that gives to its potential customers usually evoke a feeling of indebtedness when there is an opportunity for the prospect to buy. So that is the brain behind companies doing giveaway and all of those things. Then for an individual, if you are a content developer, someone doing something that you provide knowledge, let me say, okay, and you are someone that likes to share your knowledge on social media. Okay, you tell people how to solve problems, you share tips and stuff like that. When there's a need for people to buy the kind of service that you provide or the product, their mind comes to you first, because you have been able to create some mind share. Okay, so there's something we call mind share. There's mind share, there's market share. Okay, so mind share happens before market share. Okay, so I need to think about you before I can dip my hands into my pockets to pay for your product, and then that will contribute to your market share. Okay, so giving can be, a motivation for buying. Okay, and that's why companies also that are launching new products can also look out for people where they can give, things, and then people will say, oh yeah, they gave me, I got a free whatever, I got a free credit and got, all of this, and then people can be motivated to buy. Then we can also have people who are proven to be authority in certain fields. Okay, so I remember someone who was always talking about employment law in Nigeria some time ago on LinkedIn, and then he keeps, talking about the different laws, okay, about employment. Yeah, it may not be the best, but for a lot of people, this guy was saying something that is not common, and then of course he's democratizing that knowledge, he's sharing it freely. Something you could have, gone to a lawyer, and then you are asked to pay consultancy before you, hear this. So this guy was sharing it freely, and believe you me, when I had an issue, of a relative or a family member that I had to reach out to the guy, because the guy has demonstrated to be an authority in that field. So if you are someone who has a product or service to sell, you must be able to position yourself as a go-to person, okay? Because people are going to be more comfortable talking to you because they believe that you know what you are doing, okay? So you must position yourself as an authority in that field for people to say, okay, let's go buy from this person. And if you look at the big four, the consulting firms in the world, the KPMG and all of them, what do? There are independent researches that they carry out without anyone paying them for it. And then when they begin to throw out these numbers, throw out these figures, the concerned organizations begin to, stretch out their neck, and they are like asking questions, what is happening? So they position themselves as authority, as advanced knowledge, how would I put it? Owners of advanced knowledge. So people have to gravitate towards them because they have positioned themselves as the authority, in that area. So that's, that's one thing. That's another way to motivate people. And then, of course, if you look at it, something came to my mind now. These lawyers, all these activist lawyers, some of them are doing it for publicity. So they come to the they talk about that. You think that some of the things they are even saying, if some lawyers are listening to them, they might think they are saying jargons, okay? But because majority of us, the larger population of us, don't even know what they are talking about. So we think, this guy is very sound. This guy is an authority. So the next time you have a case, because this guy is registered in your mind, so you are thinking about looking for him, to be able to patronize him. Okay, another one is social validation. All right. So people that have used certain product before can, motivate you to say, oh, that product is good. And that's the reason behind storytelling, influencer, influencing, people to buy products. Social validation. So you look for someone that is respected in the society, a public figure, respected authority to talk about your product. So they are giving you social validation. So they are giving some comfort to people out there to be able to make the buying decision, because nobody wants to throw away their money. Okay. Another point is consistency. So your marketing information and everything that you do, there must be consistency. Okay. People don't want to hear, oh, your product can last for 15 minutes. And then in another point, they see it's talking about 20 minutes. So people don't want to do, they think that you have some other, you have the intention to deceive people. So these are very quiet, motivators. Okay. Let's look at some of them. Journey support. So if I want to buy something from your company, how do you help me? How do you support me in the journey? Okay, there are companies that, oh, you want to buy, okay, go to that place, go and just pick your product. All right, either, whatever it is, digitally or physically. So companies that understand that customers, they require certain level of support. So if you are able to provide that premium support to your customers, okay, then you will have people move, more towards you. Okay, so that's it. So a lot of organizations can begin to advocate, oh, we're going to help you through this process, we're going to teach you, we're going to do all of that. Okay, so people can get more comfortable and decide to buy from them. Okay, then scarcity. Okay, organizations can create artificial scarcity, to bring a sense of value to certain products. Okay, so that's why when certain products are scarce, you see people paying more for it. And I remember when I was in Coca-Cola. So let me tell you, this is a secret. I know a lot of other companies are also doing it. So if Coca-Cola is introducing a new product to the market, there are some people that are called stealth marketers. Okay, young people. So Coca-Cola can throw them into the market. Of course, the product has been launched. So these people go to shops, different shops, and begin to ask for this product. Oh, do you have 5 Alive poppy? The woman says, oh, I don't have. So this guy is just going around asking people. Then another person comes again, do you have 5 Alive poppy? The woman says, why are people asking for this product that I don't have? Okay, so that person that is selling is motivated to go and stock it because people have come and they have asked for it. Now, eventually, the people that have come to ask for it just to create a demand creation, are not coming back, really. But now this customer has a responsibility to sell this product because he or she has invested his resources, so if I have the product in my store, so when people come, the responsibility is for me now to tell people that, look, this product is nice. Two people have come in here to ask for this product in the last few days. Do you want to try it? So somehow the responsibility has been transferred to the owner of the store to begin to sell this product. And of course, they will sell it because their money is tied down. So before you know it, the product begins to, take a life of its own. I'm not saying that that's the only strategy. Okay, it's just one of those, that you can apply in, in clusters, in certain clusters where you think that there's a kind of rejection, of the product. So you can set up still to marketers and they begin to knock on shops. They will just come in as somebody that wants to buy and begin to ask for a product that you have refused to collect from the company. So another person comes again, looks so different and looks so serious. Oh, this product. And customer says, is the product? The product is very important. It's good and this and that. And before you know it, that person will begin to call the sales rep that has come and dropped and say, who is that guy that came and dropped a flyer? So scarcity, you can use that, and that's scarcity is also the science behind putting dates behind certain activities. You can say, oh, if you register before so and so. Scarcity is what also airlines are also using. Okay, if you check airline tickets in the morning, you see a certain rate. By the time you check in the evening, the rate is going up. So you think that the seat is not going to be available, you quickly rush to buy. Okay, but there are certain things that you can do. I will not say it here because I don't know whether DSS is there. There are certain things you can do that you might still be able to get the price that you got yesterday. I'm sure Mr. Nelson will know. I'm sure he must have tried this trick, before. So you see, so those are the ways that people, use to motivate people to take action. All right, appeal. People from organizations tend to promote ideas that resonate with them. Okay, so other things, organizations that are doing or investing in certain social causes might be a motivation for people to buy. Okay, so these are for individuals, the motivators for individuals. Now for businesses, all right, every business is looking at profit. So when a business wants to take a decision of buying something, whether to buy a generator or to buy an AC or whatever it is they want to buy, okay, it must fit into, one or two or all of this. Okay, so this investment we want to make as a company, is it going to help us to make more money? Is it going to improve our productivity or efficiency? Is it going to increase our sales? Is it going to help us to reduce costs? Is it going to improve our product quality or service quality? Is it going to help us to reduce risk? It must be. It must be any of this. There is no company that will buy anything for any reason outside of these 6 reasons. Okay? Whether they saw, they are spending so much money, so they move to something, or they want productivity, they are buying a generator, they see that NEPA is not reliable, so they want more productivity. Okay? Make more money if they are buying a machine that can churn out more products, okay, per hour. That's making more money because at the end of the day, they have more products to sell. Okay? If they are buying a machine that can produce a product that customers are not going to be rejecting, that's product or service quality. Reducing costs, there's a way that you can save costs. You are buying a gas generator instead of a diesel generator, or you are doing solar because of. So every business will buy for any of these 6 reasons. And at the end of the day, it is the value that they are getting. And that's what they will define as value. Oh, we are making more money. That's value. We are more efficient. That's value. Our market share is improving. That's value. We are reducing costs. That's value. Our product quality is improving. And of course, eventually to translate to more money because there will be more market. And say some of these things are also interwoven. So you are able to achieve one, then it impacts on the other. So businesses buy for this reason or sometimes you want to reduce risk. Maybe you are losing a lot in terms of product quality, or maybe life of people are endangered. So you want to buy something that that will reduce risk. So as a person that is selling to organizations, you must be able to connect whatever you are selling to any of these values, and you must be able to highlight it and demonstrate it clearly to the customer. Okay, so the buying process for for taking a buying decision is just like this. Okay, so someone recognizes there's a need, okay, or there's a problem, and then you search for information as to what you can do to solve the problem. And then in the process of searching for information, a couple of alternatives will crop up, and then you are looking at pop-up, and then you are pop-up, and you are looking at which of these options, okay, should I choose or or decide for. And then when you evaluate, now when you are evaluating the comparative advantage. in terms of cost, in terms of efficiency, in terms of value, whatever it is, okay? And then you make a purchase. And then after the purchase, you make a post-purchase evaluation to know if you have taken a good decision or there will be buyer remorse, okay? So we go to emotions and logics of buying. I'm looking at the time. Okay, so do we want to have a short break now? So we're at the top of the hour. Do we want to have a short break? I don't feel like having one now. If we want to, maybe someone wants to take.
Good day, sir. Thank you very much for an awesome presentation thus far. Good to have you with us. Sorry I wasn't there when you started. Thank you. Deborah.
Sorry, I didn't get that, please.
No, I was just thanking you for your leadership so far. I'm apologizing that I wasn't here when you started your session.
Oh, no problem.
Okay, thank you. So, Deborah, what do you decide?
I think we should go on for now. If you get to a point, then maybe we can stop around 5:30, 6 thereabout. Take a break and then continue.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Thank you you are doing well, Deborah.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So emotions and logic of buying. So it's also been established that emotions also has a very huge role to play when people are buying things. Okay. And there are also logics. So you may also want to say individual buying decisions are leveraged on emotions, and then businesses buying are leveraged on logics. That's not totally correct, okay? So for both individual buying and business buying, emotions and logics, play, okay? And I will try to explain. So the whole essence of companies advertising is to connect with you emotionally, all right? There is no way a 20 seconds, in fact, some adverts now are 20 seconds, some are 10 seconds. There's no way a 20 seconds, let's take that, advertisement can tell you everything about a product. No way. All they try to do with adverts is just to connect with you emotionally, just to make you feel good about that brand, okay? Because definitely you are still going to go into the process of asking more questions, all right? One of the very successful adverts in Nigeria was one done by, Airtel. I think they won awards, where you see the family playing and all of that. It wasn't telling us about the issues, how much they are paying per minute, how much data, all the promotions they are doing. No, that advert will not allow all of those information. But they're just saying that, Airtel can help the family to connect, can help the family even when the family is at war. The mother of the husband and the mother of the wife, when they're always fighting. So Airtel can be a point of connection. That's emotion. Okay, that's emotion. It's not telling you how much you're going to save or how much you're going to make if you use Airtel internet for your business. Okay, so it's talking about the emotional aspect. So, and that is also very important. So you need to feel good. You need to feel right. Okay, so, and that's for everybody. Whether you are buying something, whether you are making a choice about a university, something more serious, whatever it is, everything that we do, emotions come to play. But we also try to advise that, look, don't allow emotions to take, the larger part of the decision making. But there's no way, because we are human beings. We are a bunch of emotions. Okay, so prospects make the buying decision when they feel right. Yeah, I think I mentioned that. So customers buy because of emotion, but they later justify the decision with logic. So this also happens. So somebody buys, and then when they buy it because they like the salesman, so they get home, and somebody is asking, what did you just buy? They are not going to tell you that they bought because they like the salesman. Okay, they are going to give you reasons why that product is the best. So that's what happens. So people buy because they just feel good, and then thereafter they begin to find how to explain it to other people. They begin to tell you the product can last this product is very good, this and that. But when they were taking the decision, it was more of emotion. Okay. So it's fine, right? Because even when you are buying in companies, you are selling to a company, you have the board, you are talking to the board, you have about, maybe someone, maybe 4, 5 people, 10 people. I've spoken to about 20 people, before. Now, some people are not just going to be your friend. They are going to be asking questions just to pull you down because they don't like your face. But the ones that are very comfortable with you will just be telling everybody, let's go with him now. This guy has a good product. Look at what he's talking about. I like this company. You begin to hear words like that, right? So that's the emotional aspect. Even though everybody at the end of the day is looking for a product that will help them to make more money, to save money, to increase market share, to reduce cost, whatever it is out of those 6. But the individuals, who take the decision in organizations are still going to have their emotions come to play. Okay? And that's why it's always, whether you are selling to an individual or a group or business, you have to be careful as a salesperson so that you don't create enemies for yourself. When people have to, take that decision and say, no, I don't like that guy. There are people that have lost businesses because one of the people in the team doesn't like your face. And that's the reality. Okay? So let's move on. So advertisers use all of this in many contexts to create top of the mind awareness. So there's something we call TOMA, top of the mind awareness, TOMA. So whatever you see, on television, on billboards, every organization is driving TOMA, top of mind awareness, because they know that they are not talking to everybody that wants to take the decision now. Okay, there are many of us, maybe some of us have cars here, there are some of us that don't have cars. But the day you have money to buy a car, it is not that day you start searching in Nigeria, what are the kind of cars that are good in Nigeria. Now you are already gathering your data. You are seeing your friends when they are buying cars, the kind of cars that they are tending towards. Okay, when they are getting married or whatever, when their children are going to school, you already have an idea the kind of school. So it's top of the mind. So advertisement is not just for people that are taking the decision right now. Brands are also trying to put themselves in the mind of the consumer or the customers, so that later, when somebody wants to take the decision, then you remember. So there is a priority list in your mind, and the company that will be at the top is the company that has advertisement. And that's why Coca-Cola today still has a huge budget for advertisement. Coca-Cola every year spends about not less than 7% of their revenue on advertisement. So you're asking yourself, but a baby that is born today knows Coca-Cola? No, they want to be relevant. They want to continue to be top of your mind, because you can see what Biggie Cola and all the other colas. You can imagine Coca-Cola has not been advertising. If they have not been doing everything that they've been supporting World Cup, maybe those smaller brands would have, upstaged them. Okay, so businesses create those things, adverts, just to first of all reach out to the mind of the customer. Okay. Several research have proven that ads that are targeted towards emotions are more successful than those towards intellect. There are some fantastic adverts. If you go on YouTube, you will see them. Go to all these big brands, Nike. Some of them will not even show their products. They just look for something that is very emotional. That people, you look at the ad, it might just be their logo. You may not see a Nike, you may not see a sneaker on a Nike advert. Okay, something very emotive that you see it, you can't forget it. But of course, you always have to fit it with the brand. So the marketing organizations that are doing content, they are looking for emotions, because they know that people can easily connect with brands through emotions. And that's why there are colors, there are all those kind of different identities, the logo and all of those things. They are trying to connect with people, because they know that people will take the decision based on how they feel about the brand. So these are the kind of emotion that people feel when you see certain brands or certain products. Okay, let's look at them. I think okay, let me just quickly take some time to look at this. Happiness. There are certain products that they use happiness to communicate. So I've been talking about Coca-Cola. You see Coca-Cola, oh, it's happiness. They are dancing, they are doing all of that, right? You see an insurance company that is doing adverts on television, it's fear. So they will tell you that if this happens, you are driving your car, you just bought your car, and the car has a crash. So they are using fear to motivate you, right? It's not happiness. It's not. You are not going to see people dancing in an insurance advert. Okay? Anger. You could see brands like trying to make people switch to, just talk about, you getting frustrated using a certain product. Okay? I don't know, some examples are not coming to mind now. And the same thing with sadness. You will see somebody who has been toiling, trying to do something. Okay, maybe pharmaceuticals, maybe paracetamol or something. Okay, somebody wants to go for a show, and then the person is having a throbbing headache, and the person is sad. And then the next thing he sees, a sachet of paracetamol, and then he takes the product, and then the person is happy. So all of these things are the methods that different organizations use. Okay, so if you are selling products that that are for pleasure, right? You can use happiness. If you're selling products that are for pain, okay, so we call it the 2 P's of selling. So there's pain and pleasure. So your selling is either trying to drag people towards pleasure or push them away from pain. So people that are using the strategy of pain, with the example I cited, you just bought a new car. I'm not talking about the other one where people lose, family members and all of that. So they tell you that if you have an insurance, then you have nothing to worry about. That's a pain, okay? So they create a picture of pain, right? And then they tell you that, look, you can actually avoid this pain, okay? So they can use either anger, sadness, or fear. So these are the emotions that, people are talking about. And that's why they say that insurance companies is one of the most difficult, because a lot of people are paying for products that they are not going to use. They are paying for products that others are supposed to use. But hey, it is what it is. Okay, so it's important to note that logic seems to take preeminence when it is business that is buying. So I mentioned this. So the decision makers have the opportunity to look at, okay, what is the cost of this? Can we look at the other costs and all of this? So people can be very rational, okay, when they are buying a business, right? But like I said, there will still be some point of, where the individual members are looking at, someone that they like, So the emotions do influence the individuals and the team towards certain decisions. So logical explanation has to be provided to sell the choice to other members of the team. So the fact that you have made friends with a member of the team, your paddy, is not enough, okay? What you have tried to do is that person is more receptive to you, to be able to hear you out. But that person needs a logic. It needs you to show them how you are going to help them save money, make money, reduce risk, increase market, all of those, any of those 6 things. So that is what the person is going to passionately be able to use to support you when they are taking the decision. So it's not just going to be, can't you say, the guy is nice, but the guy is looking good, he's smelling good. That's enough. That will not make them to take the buying decision. So you have to be able to, after you have been able to do that, it's important to do that. Don't neglect that. The emotional aspect. Don't neglect connecting with people. All right, but you are not going to place your emphasis on that. As a salesperson, your logic must also be very strong as much as your emotions. So what are the considerations for logical buying when organizations are buying? I'm looking at the economy. Okay, what is the economy of what we are buying? The profitability, the durability, the productivity, the convenience, safety, curiosity, and adaptability. Okay, so everyone is looking at, if you're going to buy a new equipment, how does it play here? So those are the rational things. So when you are speaking to it, you are speaking to all of these things for the organization. Okay, and of course you can use this to also explain those 6 functions that I mentioned earlier. Okay, so let's look at personal effectiveness. So effectiveness is your ability to produce a desired result or a desired output. Effective people deliver results and not excuses. So what are those things that we can look at when we are talking about effectiveness, especially in the context of the salesman, right? Knowledge. So if you want to be an effective salesman, you have to have good knowledge of your company. You have to know about your product, and you have to know about your sector. Okay, if you are very vast in these three, people that your prospects will not see you as a salesman, they will rather see you as a consultant, as an advisor. And knowledgeable salespeople are effective salespeople because the customer is comfortable, because the customer believes that you know what you are doing. So, as a salesperson, you must pay attention to understanding your product. You must pay attention to understanding your company, because sometimes you get to a customer, the customer wants to talk about the history of your company. So once you begin to divert attention from that, the person might begin to see you as a freelancer. Oh, this guy doesn't know anything about the company. Okay, so you must invest time in getting knowledge about it. Then sometimes also about the sector, you have the company, the customer, and then he's already buying competition. So if you don't have a good knowledge about the sector, the person is just seeing you as an hustler. Okay, so you have to show that you are vested in, what you're doing, and it will reflect in the knowledge that you share, when you are trying to sell to the customer. Another important thing is attitude. Okay, so someone said that if you say you can't do it, you're right. If you say you can do it, you're also right. Okay, so a lot of people, I've heard people, in fact, I still had it last week. One of my staff said, I can't sell. So when I heard, well, she wasn't recruited for a sales job. So, but there was a need for her to sell something. Say, I don't know how to sell. So I already, yeah, that's fine. And I told her in the presence of everyone, no problem, because she has already determined that she cannot sell. Okay, so I told her that this is an aberration, that you are working in an organization that is sales focused, and you say you cannot sell. So I know that that's a work, I have an assignment to do on that. So, but really, everything in life starts from attitude. So if you are going to sell, if you are going to be able to achieve a certain result, there must be that self-motivation. There must be that positive attitude, because the truth is that when you meet a little opposition, if you are not self-motivated, you will run back, you will run away. This company, they are the one forcing me to do this. I told them I cannot do it. But if you are motivated yourself, you have been yourself, if you have the right attitude, you know that those challenges that you are facing can be overcome, and people must be able to, to do that. So having the right attitude also goes to, being able to treat people fairly, being a team player, especially when you are working in, large teams. Okay, and of course, the right attitude also extends to, relationship with people, being able to use the right words. Please, I'm sorry, thank you. All of those things are very important. People see that you are someone that is intentional when you are using those kind of words. You are not just anyhow person, This is one thing I do, and I teach my children. If my son finds me with, there is a thank you, there's everything, so it doesn't make people to live with a sense of entitlement. Your customer just paid for a product. Yes, the customer is going to make profit, but there must be a thank you. So those kind of attitude presents you as somebody that can be liked, somebody that people can relate with, somebody that people can do things with. Okay, so and when you have the right attitude, customers are more comfortable with you because they know that you are just the right person. All right, so it's very important that salespeople will pay attention to this. Okay, and it's the same attitude that will make us to change our attitude to things. Still the same word. Okay, so look at the progression. Someone is asked to do something. All right, the first part is willingness. Okay, once somebody says, I want to do it, so you don't even know whether the person cannot do it or because the person does not want to do it, right? If I say I'm not moving, so you don't even know whether it's because I cannot move or because I don't want to move. But because I don't want to move, you can't even know whether I have the capacity to move. So the attitude, is a take-off point. We must have the attitude that we can do it to be able to sell, right? And then when you now have the attitude, right, the next thing is to begin to ask questions. How can I do it? Because you have said that you want to do it. I can do it, I can't do it, but you move to, I want to do it. And then the next thing will be to ask questions. And then when you are now trained, okay, you make an attempt to do it, and then you do it. All right. So we know that here, motivations can make people to change from one level of these states, particularly to another. So like I said, I used to say, I said, okay, so if let's assume all of us here in the room now, and then an helicopter, someone brought in an helicopter and said, oh, anybody that can fly this helicopter from Wuse to the airport will get $10 million. Okay. Now, all of us would love to have $10 million. But the truth is that I don't know if anybody has done training to drive an aircraft, to fly an aircraft. So no matter how attractive the 10 million is, we don't have the competence. All you do is you just put your finger and say, "Kai, assuming I can fly, I will have this $10 million." But you can't fly, okay? But because we want to do it, because there's enough motivation, somebody can say, I'll go and sit down with you too. Especially when they now give you time, they now say, okay, we give you 3 months. Some people will go and do crash program, right? And learn how to fly. Okay, so we feel that when there is motivation, especially in an environment, a work environment, people can also be inspired. So for example, this person that I mentioned that said, oh, I cannot sell. So maybe I'm going to look at the aspect of motivation and say, okay, do you know that if you sell this thing, you can earn extra income? Then when the person is not moving, then you know that probably there's not, or maybe there are other forms of motivation, okay, that can be done. So if we are team leaders, when you see your people say, I won't do it, then you have to know that there is no motivation to do it. But when there is motivation, you can see someone who does not even have the competence to do something, making an attempt because there is a willingness to do it. So it also translates to sales. So you can see someone, oh, can you go and meet this company? Can you sell to this company? Once the person says, I cannot do it, then it's motivation. There is no motivation. The person does not understand the why of doing that thing. Okay? Another point is grooming, right? Every salesperson must understand the peculiarity of their industry. So I said that people that are in the food industry, you need to look good. If you are in the pharmaceutical industry, you can't be having dreadlocks as a man. You can't have, you can't pierce, you can't have piercings in your hair. But if you are in the entertainment sector, you are a videographer, maybe you can pierce your hair as a man, okay? But you can't be in the pharmaceutical sector and wear, what's it called? Ragged jeans, and wear sneakers, all those kind of, dresses that's like someone with, when you walk in, somebody sees you and is like, sorry, why are you here? Okay? So we must be able to understand the peculiarity of our industry. Very important. Some people think that it's not important. Is it not the product that I'm selling that the customer wants? No. Remember I said that the customer will first buy you before buying that product. If you're working in a bank, for example, let's say someone comes in to you. Let's say you are in a business, you are running a business. Someone walks into your business, okay? He's wearing a t-shirt, he's wearing an Ankara pants, and he's wearing a palm slippers. And they say, I'm from Zenith Bank. And then he's doing colored hair. The guy colored purple or orange colored hair. And the guy walks in and he said, I'm from Zenith Bank. I'm sure you'll be looking out for the next door, to ask him to go out. Okay? Because that kind of grooming is not expected in the banking sector. Okay? But if the guy comes in and says, I am an artist, right? I'm a recording artist, then you know that that is acceptable in their industry. And there was something very interesting. Okay? Mark Zuckerberg came and then started wearing t-shirts. And then many of us didn't know that, okay, the guy had a reason for wearing t-shirts all over the place. So people felt that, oh, once you are in the IT space, just wear t-shirts. But when the Senate started asking the guy to come and be showing up and be giving them updates about security, the guy started wearing suits because he needed to appear serious. You know, because you are going to meet, he wants to go and sell, he was actually trying to sell a Facebook to the Senate because the people, those old people were not understanding what is happening. They just felt that the country was threatened. So he needed to look like them. And now when you see Mark Zuckerberg, the guy is, you know, nice jackets and everything. But before, the guy had told us he was okay with the t-shirt, same color, and a jean and, you know, trainers. Okay? So every industry has its grooming, and you must understand it, and then you must be able to align properly with it. Okay, so like I said, food handling, you must be able to understand your value chain. You know, if you are working in the food sector, hygiene is very important. Okay, another point is time, right? Time is a unique resource. It's fixed in amount. Each of us has all there is, you know, to have in respect to time. So we must learn how to plan our time. One quick example that I will say with time here is the fact that some of us, we know the challenges of our, you know, of our environment. Okay, so you fix an appointment for 2 p.m. to see a doctor, or sorry, to see a customer, right? And then you are running late. Okay, so then you get there 10 minutes after, and you start apologizing to the person. So in this age of telephone, what stops you from calling ahead, okay, to tell the customer that, sorry, I am running late? And if you know that you are running late by 10 minutes, you can tell them that you are running late by 30 minutes. They don't call on the nick of 2 p.m., okay? Call them earlier. So when you do that, one, because the customer thinks that you have respect for their time, that you also respect yourself. Now, do you know what happens when I do this most often? So when I do this, so they jump into something else, right? So when I'm getting there, I'm the one that will not be waiting for them because I've told them, give me 30 minutes, so I'm there. So by the time they are seeing me coming out after by 2:30, they are the one apologizing to me. Can you imagine? Simple thing that flips the table. So they be, oh, sorry, we kept you waiting. Whereas I'm actually the one that has kept them waiting. But because I did the simple thing of calling in advance to say, please, I'm running late. Okay? And then, of course, it doesn't still stop me from saying, oh, I'm sorry, I was supposed to be here by 2 o'clock. So all of us are apologizing to ourselves. Okay? Because I decided to do what is right. Because I'm managing my time very well. But if I don't do that, you get to that place, some people don't want to listen to you. They just keep quiet. They are angry because you wasted their time. Because you didn't tell them you're going to be late. They could have jumped into something else. All right? But now you are going to drag the meeting, and then whatever they wanted to do after, they cannot do again because these things happen. So we must learn how to manage time. And then, of course, if you look at this grid, just telling us about the importance and the urgency of tasks. Okay? So if you have a task that is urgent and important, it's something that you must do now. If you have one that is important, that is not urgent, that you can do later, then you plan for it. We are not saying you should throw it away. It's not important that it's not urgent that you do it now, but it's important you plan for it. Okay? But if it is not important and urgent, okay, not very important, but it's urgent, then you can look for someone to help you do it. This is delegation. You delegate. Okay? If it is not urgent and not important, then I think these are the things that you want to throw out of the window. Okay? They are not important, they are not urgent. So why do you want to waste your time doing them? So this grid is just to help us to be able to prioritize, you know, our activities based on the urgency and the importance of those activities. Okay? So every day we need to be able to look at our time. You know, sometimes what we think and what we think we do and what we actually do are not the same. Okay? So sometimes we might have to do, you know, a brain scan of our time, how we have spent our day, and then be able to see if we are spending too much time doing certain activities. And I also, you know, tell people, salespeople especially, I said there are high value activities and there are low value activities. High value activities are those ones that you just have to do them to be able to achieve results. There are those ones that are low value. Okay, so those ones that are high value are the ones that you must pay attention to and ensure that they must be done. And that's what is also here in that the list at the bottom. Okay, so but still on promptness, like I said, you have to be prompt with our planning, and you use an example. Efficiency, look at the things that are of importance that you have that are very important. So you concentrate your energy on those ones that are of high value. Okay, and then when you have more time in your hands, you can focus on those ones that are of less value, but they are still important. Okay, proactiveness. I think the example of calling ahead, for a likely delay, in appointments can also help. Okay, goal setting. I'm sure we are familiar with SMART goals. Okay, so your goals should be SMARTed. That is, your goals should be specific, should be measurable, should be achievable, should be realistic, and then should be time bound. So you need to SMART all your goals to be sure that they fit properly. And then scheduling and balancing. Okay, so I was talking about this. So making your to-do list, you have to look at the things that must be done. For me, that's high value activities. Okay, things that should be done, that's medium value activities. Okay, and then the things that could be done, okay, those are likely low value activities. So every day you must focus on the A's, the things that must be done, because they are critical to your success, they are critical to your KPIs, to the things that you need to do. Okay, so what are the other points? We must have a good sense of self-inspiration, a healthy sense of self-inspiration and self-confidence. Okay, we must have the drive for knowledge. Currently, I mean, as was read in my profile, we do CRM solution. Okay, when you see me talking about, I don't know everything, but I think I know enough to make my clients to listen to me. But like I said, I read microbiology, but now I sell software and I also do sales training, right? So when I'm sitting and talking about IT, talking about CRM, customers are like, okay, all right, but it was the exigencies of my job that really motivated me because I had to. So any industry that you have, you must go the extra mile, because that little space at the top is meant for people that are pushing more, people that are pressuring themselves to be able to learn more, to be able to know more than the others, so that when push comes to shove, then you are there. Then every other person is at the level of average. Okay, be calm at all times, learn how to manage conflicts assertively and fairly. So when you are selling, you are going to have the experience of different kinds of temperaments. So you must learn how to be able to handle all these people with maturity, with tact, calmness, and then of course customers will always complain. So you must be able to manage the conflicts and the complaints. So let's look at some certain selling skills. Okay, I believe we are doing well on time. So communication, I spoke about this earlier. We're going to look at about 5: communication, listening, empathy, resilience, and motivation. Okay, communication. So from the beginning of your communication to the customer, right, what you say is important, and how you say it is also important. There are 2 salespeople that go to a place, the communication they pass across will determine who gets the business. Okay, and communication is not just about talking, it's also about asking the right questions, because communication is a two-way thing. So I'm not just going there to tell you all about our products, right, without getting the opportunity to ask you questions that will help us to arrive at the right destination. So when you are asking the right question, when you are can start and sustain the right conversation, customers will know that you are interested in solving a problem and not just making a sale. There's a huge difference between the two. Okay, but you know that when you do the other, which is for the customer, which is for the benefit of the community, was solving a problem, you are also making a sale. There's no way you are able to solve the customer's problem without making a sale. But a lot of times, the salesman is more fixated on making a sale rather than selling selling a solution. So selling a solution will come from you being able to understand what is the problem of the customer and how does your product, or how would your product be able to solve this problem. Okay, So, and I also mentioned here that this communication is not just only verbal, okay? Non-verbal communication. You are talking to the customer, you are not focused, you are not, your body language, you are not making eye contact. There's also a lot to talk about here, but just for the time, you are looking away, you are talking to a customer. When you are looking away, it means that you are not sure what you are saying. Okay? So all of this body language must be able to reinforce what you are talking about. You are talking to a customer about something serious and you are laughing away, you are joking, or you are chewing gum, or you are doing something that does not portray you as a serious person. Okay? So, or you are talking to a customer, for example, about it. Let's say, for example, a 50 million naira project, and your phone is ringing and beeping, and you are being distracted, you are checking WhatsApp message and doing all of those things. That's part of your body language. You are telling the person that this 50 million naira transaction is not important. Or you are chatting away, you are chatting somebody that is waiting for you somewhere, or how do you catch up in the evening? Okay? So those are part of the things. So your seriousness, you are going to those kind of customers. Sometimes when I see that I'm moving to a high profile customer, I put my phone on silence, not even vibration, because vibrating on the table is also a disturbance. I put it on silence, okay, and no vibration, because it shows the serious, because you are able to focus and concentrate when you are having the meeting. Because one simple call like that can take you off or break your communication, and then somebody wakes up on the other side and fires you a terrible question. Okay, so these are part of the communication, the way you deliver your pitch. Then listening. Okay, sometimes I put it as active listening. Okay, there. So active listening. So hearing is different from listening. Okay, so when you hear, you are perceiving sound. Okay, and this is very interesting. Sometimes you can be at home, you are in the living room, people are watching television, but you are reading something on your phone. Then everybody laughs. You raise up your head. What happened? What did he say? But you heard it, right? You heard what was said on the television, but because you weren't listening, okay, you were focused on something else. So you didn't understand, you didn't hear. Okay, you heard the sound, but you were not communicated to. So that also happens when we are talking to people. Sometimes you are looking at somebody, so the person is talking, your mind has traveled to Saudi Arabia or whatever. Okay, so it's important that when we are listening, we listen actively. So when you are listening actively, you are trying to understand.
I'm attending a meeting.
The person should mute, please, so that you don't disturb us. Okay, so when you are listening to the customer, you are trying to understand what is the need of this customer. Sometimes the solution you are providing is not what the customer needs. So because you are fixated on selling, you are not listening to the customer. So you sell a product, at the end of the day, the customer is not happy because you have sold the wrong product. So, but when we listen, we are able to cover the genuine need of the customer. And then the customer feels comfortable with us. As salespeople, we are trained to talk. But I can tell you, if you listen more, you will be a better salesperson. Because now you are showing the customer that you are there to solve a problem, not to make a living. Okay? And the truth is that, like the last point, that when you pretend to be listening, by the time you bring the solution, the customer will know that you are not listening. You didn't hear what I said because you just said something off track. So let us learn it. Like I said, some of these things can be learned. So be patient. Let the customer finish. And sometimes many of us, because we are experienced, because before the customer, madam, I know what you want to say, or guy, I know what you want to say, because you met the customer last week. That customer conversation was, their conversation is following the same pattern. So you know where the person, please let the person end, right? Let the person end, let the person finish, and then ask questions, and then you can be able to understand the customer more. Then empathy. This is a very important skill. It's a skill, okay? Empathy is being able to put yourself in somebody else's shoe, okay? So I'm here, you want to sell this thing to me. Now you must be able to feel my pain. You must be able to feel my excitement for you to be able to connect properly, okay? So if you are in a world of your own, right, you will not be able to understand me properly. But if you are able to put yourself in the customers, will be able to assume. So sometimes you have to how do they put it? You have to just assume that, okay, if I am this person now and I'm hearing what I am hearing, what I'm saying, what will I do? Why should I move? Why should I be inspired to do what this person is asking me to do? And that's reflection for me. Okay, so that's reflection, because you are trying to say, okay, this customer said no. So if I were to be this customer, would I not say no to this kind of presentation? Then it helps you to better yourself. Then when you think that the customer should just be the person that you want them to be, listen, be excited about what you're selling, then you won't go far, selling to them. Okay, so an empathic salesperson will be able to use emotions to drive actions. So the customer says, "Oh, madam, I can understand what you're saying. Oh, I feel, oh, this is, somebody is losing something. Oh, I can understand, and then maybe you have a story to also buttress, to just feel that you have been in their shoes before. My dad used to say something. He said, outside people that when they want to buy, I don't know if anybody's outside. So when they want to buy something from you, medicine from you, so they say, oh, this medicine is very good. The outside will ask you, have you used it before? I think it was those outside in those days. So we ask you, have you used this drug before? Because the man wants to be sure that you have really felt the pain that is feeling, and then you use the drug and it helps you. But if you have not used it before, then you don't really know. Okay, so empathy is one skill that we must learn. We must learn how to empathize. We must learn how to assume the position of the customer every time, so that you can be able to judge yourself rightly to see that what I am saying, would it cause an action? Would it cause the right kind of action that I require? And then resilience. You will hear no's till tomorrow. Even next month, I know that some people will still say no to me. So the problem with that is that some people will personalize it. So you think that you are the one that is not good. No. Sometimes you are talking to the wrong person. Sometimes you are talking to someone who is not ready. Yes, he's a good person, but he's not ready. So when you have those no's and rejections, the idea for you is to say, oh, let's on to the next one. But not really onto the next one like that, without really assessing or trying to find out why the person has said no. Maybe your presentation maybe it wasn't the right time. Okay, but a salesman that does not have resilience cannot go far. And I have typical example. I worked with someone in Coca-Cola years back. Every evening, this guy comes back sober. In fact, as he's coming in to our depot, he will be complaining, he will be murmuring, this customer. So he personalized it, and we knew that guy was not. I'm not sure it lasted up to 1 year in that, as a sales rep in that Coca-Cola, because he was personalizing it. He took it personal. He said that he was the one that was being rejected, whereas he was not proposing value to the customers. So a salesperson must be able to separate the business. Oh, they said your business is not profitable. It's not you that is not profitable. It is the business. So you won't be able to say, okay, how do I present this business to this customer so that the customer can think the business is profitable? Motivation is another skill. You must learn how to motivate yourself. You must learn how to drive up the hunger for success. Okay? They gave you a target. Some people, you just increase your own target. Because you really, really want to achieve results. So motivation is something that we can practice. Either you are telling yourself, look, I can do it. You build your motivation skill, you build it, you set goals and make efforts to achieve them. I tell people that if you have a goal and there is no plan, you are only making a wish. So for example, if I say, I will become the president of America, I'm sure that the next question you will ask me is how, when, where. And if I tell you, no, don't worry about the plan, then you're ready. You just retire to the fact that I'm only making a wish. So when people are making wishes, they don't need any explanation. They don't need to set out any plan, right? But when somebody is talking about a goal, there must be a plan. So if you learn how to set goals and drive to achieve them, then there must be, then you are learning, how to motivate yourself. Okay? And this goes across, every other thing that we do, in our private lives. So there are no limitations to the mind except those we acknowledge. Both poverty and riches are the offspring of our thought. And that's Napoleon Hill. Okay? When you think you are poor, when I was driving now, I was thinking about something. I just realized that this thing called poverty and riches is just a thing of the mindset. Honestly, I was thinking about it. I was looking back and I saw some people that used to be very poor, and I look at their lifestyle, the way they live just keeps them poor. But there are people that are rich, people like Dangote. Honestly, if you strip Dangote of everything that he has today, take him to another country, Dangote just need a few years. Because there's a way the mind of those people work. There's a way the mind of such people work. So we just have to begin to condition our mind that we can actually succeed. You can actually succeed. So, and sometimes we think that, we are unnecessarily motivating ourselves. No, that's the truth. That's the truth. But if you think that, everything you do, so it's not going to work, this is not going to work, nothing is ever going to work. Okay, so we just have to, we don't, and this is something that we don't pay for. What do you pay for to create dreams and create positive mindset? You don't buy it. You don't owe anybody on it. You don't take it on credit. Okay, so you can do it for yourself and see how things will begin to, work. Success and failure in any venture begins from the mind. Okay, if you think you cannot sell, then you will surely find it hard to sell. This belief has to do with self-assessment, our ability to face enormous challenges that may show up during our pursuits. Okay, I remember when I started selling software, a lot of companies say, this thing is too expensive, that and that and that. Before we know it, we did. Of course, there are things that we have to do.
You've been moved, sir. You're muted, sir.
No, I'm not going to do this, right? Or I cannot do this. Then definitely I won't be able to do it. But because despite all the challenges I faced, I looked at them and I was able to achieve some, modest level of success. A winning mindset does not happen by default. Self-trust and taking action. So so there's a sequence, there's a deliberate effort to build your capacity. So winning mindset, I cannot say, I will fly an helicopter. Of course, I must learn how to fly an helicopter. That's the capacity building. I must acquire knowledge. Then when I acquire the knowledge, I must trust myself that the knowledge I have acquired is sufficient for me to be able to drive, to fly an helicopter. Okay? And then I take the action. So there's a sequence. So it's not about mindset. It's not about saying, I'm going to be the richest man in Nigeria. Okay? So what are you doing to be the richest man? What capacity are you building? What knowledge are you acquiring? Okay? After you have acquired the knowledge, can you trust yourself to do those things and then you take actions? All right? Know that the mind is the biggest resource. Some say it is the greatest capital. Everyone has a mind. And then that mind, many times you don't know what is in the other person's mind. But, estates are built first in the mind. Conglomerates are built first in the mind. Okay? People just have an idea and they begin to, run after it. And before you know it, things can, most often times grow beyond, how you imagine it. I'm sure Mark was never thinking about becoming the richest man. They just said he wanted something that everybody, I think I had that conversation with you before, that, everybody in the whole world will be able to use. And look at Alibaba too, if you have watched his video, he was talking about, hey, how can Amazon and all of that be in America? He needed something. He was kind of pushing back the fact that people felt that China cannot do such things. And despite the fact that he was trying to help his country, there were some certain constraints that he had, from the country. They said there was no internet or something. They had to, they had to source for a lot of things. They had to do a lot of things just to be able to achieve what Alibaba. And today is one of the leading lights in China. He's one of the people driving the economy. So what if he had said, and this was someone that applied for job, I think he applied for Microsoft or so, some other, and he was turned down, and then he went back and he has built a company that is competing, with some of those companies today. Okay, So how do we create positive mind? We start, with possible words of affirmation. Some of us do it. You can even be your devotional, you can even do whatever it is. Just tell yourself that you can do these things. And I remember I read, there's this book, The Billionaire, Thinking Like a Billionaire. Yeah. So the guy was talking about people having mindsets, okay, that they can do things. So the guy said that when you say something positive, that you can do some things. The guy said that nature, heaven and earth will begin to connive and begin to create an atmosphere for you to be able to achieve it. And even, let's say that's too spiritual. But the truth is that when you tell yourself you can do certain things, your body system begins to release positive hormones that can help you to do it. But when you say you cannot do it, there's a shutdown. Your brain is not thinking because you already said that, guy, don't stress yourself. So you told your brain, don't stress yourself, because you have already told the brain that you can't do it. So everything shuts down, and then there's no motivation to move. Okay? Choose to see the good side of things, people and situations, and that's it. Every situation, it's not everybody that is driving big car that is doing yahoo yahoo. It's not everybody that is, every girl that is, looking good, that is doing whatever, So we must be able to realize that there are people who are having honest and decent living. And so that should be a motivation for us. Because some people have shot themselves as, how can you drive in Dubai in this Nigeria? You do yahoo yahoo. So those people have shot themselves out. So you must be able to look at those positive things. And then, of course, surround yourself with positive people. Look at your influence. When you go to your friends and talk, is everybody talking about how Nigeria has gone bad? I'm sure you are in the wrong company. If all your friends, everything is about Nigeria is scattered, Nigeria is this, you just see yourself joining the conversation every day. If you want to hear this kind of conversation, just go to those junctions where they sell newspaper. You will hear a lot. And you see those people, you will see them next year carrying the same bag, wearing the same shirt, because Nigeria is scattered and they are not moving. They are just living by the day. Okay? So we need to surround ourselves with positive people, celebrate your little wins. We focus on excellent customer service. Everybody does this, okay? Because you know that people have the capacity to help you grow your business. So you want to be sure that they are fine, they are enjoying, they're having good experience with your product. Okay, be visible to your target market. So I say this very well. You can't wink in the dark. Okay, we are in a room, guys and boys, everybody. So the NEPA took light, and there's a lady that you're having a crush on as a young man, and you are winking in the dark. How will the lady see you? So you have to sell your market in the open. Okay, so you have to be visible to your customers. Facebook, social media. You're on Facebook, your friends don't know where you are working, you don't know what you are doing, you don't know what you are selling. Those things are cheap platforms that you can promote yourself. Okay, so those things, like I said, we're talking about the mindset. So when you project yourself to people, you are trying to see that, look, I'm going to succeed with this. This is what I do. And then people begin to ask you questions, and then you are saying it with a lot of energy. Okay, you read inspirational and motivational books, just to ensure that you are getting yourself on the right path. Okay, so this is good. So are we going to stop here now before we move into marketing plan development? Hello.
Hi, sir. Hi, sir.
I've been talking with the radio presenter since.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
they do call it.
So permit me to just share some thoughts with the team. Thank you very much for the session so far. I remember, I think it was 2 years ago, that Lagos training.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it was 2 years ago. We were at I've forgotten the headquarters of Nigeria's NECA, Employer Consultative Forum, right?
Yeah.
Yes, association for a training for some recruits for First Bank.
Yeah.
And we had a 2-day training with Mr. Gbenga Johnson. It was very, very, it was a good time for us to bond, and also to, for me to also learn from the master in terms of training, training on marketing. It was a very good experience. I want to thank you. And we also had some long-standing experience delivering training for people in the healthcare industry. That has been since 2012. Yeah. That was about 10 years ago. 2013. Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. It's also said that we are getting from a whole big wealth of experience, spanning across different spaces. We've also done training for a client in Lagos Island, quite a lot of massive experience. And to also add that the selling is beyond, maybe touting a particular product or a particular set of services. Even when the sales is already made and you're managing that client, you are still selling. In fact, you never stop selling. Yeah, any engagement with the client is always a sale experience. So we never get to the point where we now relax and feel that we've cornered the client, he's here for keeps. We're always selling, and we always have to be gauging the mood to be able to maintain that transaction. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other comment or question or feedback? Or we just run to the end?
Oh, Deborah, do we take that break that we were supposed to take earlier?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, sir. Maybe we can take the break. So we can have like a 15 minutes break, and then we'll come back so that people can, stretch and catch some breath. Yeah, before the next
class. Okay, all right. Is it 15 minutes?
How many minutes, sir? How many minutes would you want?
Let's do 10. I think 15 minutes.
Okay. Please, let's note, please, let's come back immediately so that we can finish up on time, because if we have to wait for us and if we don't come back in, we'll have to wait.
All right. So we talked about just some fundamentals about selling. So I know it will also appear basic to some people, but really we cannot stop talking about those things that we just talked about for a successful selling experience. So just look at market development, marketing plan development, sorry, in the next couple of minutes. Okay, so what is a marketing plan? I think that's the question. Sorry, there should be a question mark there. So when you hear a marketing plan, I'm sure every one of us has an idea that what it's supposed to be. So let's look at it in some details. So the marketing plan, is a document that contains the strategy that a company will use to get its product to the customers. Okay, so the plan is not the manufacturing plan, it's not the supply chain plan. Well, from the product aspect, So your marketing plan is how does the finished product leaves the warehouse to get to the customer. So these products are not going to fly on their own. No matter how beautiful your product is, customers would probably not be asking for these products on their own unless you are able to do something. Either you're building the brand or you're creating demand and all of that. So all of these things are also part of the marketing plan, especially for a new product. So you need to have a plan of how you are going to win customers and sustain them. Just like Mr. Nelson said the other time, that selling doesn't end with after you have collected money. Managing relationship with the customer is also selling, because you are still trying to get value. So every activity that you do to get value from the customer is selling. So your marketing plan is going to look at your target market. Okay. it's like the basic. So if you want to have a marketing plan, you can have a marketing plan for the whole of Nigeria, right? I mean, for the whole of the Nigerian population, sorry, for the whole of the Nigerian population, because the whole of the Nigerian population is not your target market. Everybody is not going to buy your product. Okay, so you need to look at your target market. That is, this product that you have, who are they meant for? So let me tell you that about 30%, well, maybe the figure has improved now. I think about 3 or 4 years ago, 30% of Americans are not using smartphone. Okay, that may shock you, but that is the reality. So maybe the number has gone down, right? But even if it has gone down, there will still be about 20 million Americans that are not using smartphone. They are not fascinated with your Pro Max. Okay, they are not interested in those pictures that you're taking with your mobile phones. It's none of their business. Okay, so now you can imagine creating a plan for the whole of 400 million Americans, right? So your plan, you need to have a target market. You need to look at who are the people that we are talking to, or we are going to be talking to. Okay. Now, when you identify this target market, you need to have a value proposition for them. Okay. How are we going to better their lives? What are we selling to them? And I say something about value selling, you know. Whatever the customer calls value is the value. Okay. Whatever they see as the value is the value. And that is it. So for you, as someone who is the owner of the product, is for you to be able to see value from the perspective of the customer, so that you can also propose to them. So that's why research is also part of marketing plan, for you to be able to understand what do these customers want. Okay, and then once you are able to understand it, then you propose the value. You can see what is happening in the smartphone industry, for example. What were the value propositions that started driving the new entrants, like what's it called, Techno, Infinix? They were the phones that started doing dual SIM. Okay, so these were their value propositions: dual SIM. Then they were doing longer battery life. Okay, and then of course all of these values were coming at, you know, lower cost. And then Techno now decided to prime itself as the phone to choose for pictures, because the market research was now placing emphasis on the fact that the young people that are using smartphones would like to use this phone as a camera. So you can now see a lot of journalists, you know, once anything happens, an accident happens, journalists, amateur journalists, everybody will just bring out their phone. Instead of saving the victim, they are capturing, they want to be the first person to break the news on social media. Okay, so that is what the value wants. The phone was supposed to be meant for communication, to talk to people. But now, the people wanted more value, more than that. So they needed something that they can use for entertainment. But it's still value. But you know that there are things that were made for those. There were cameras, there were beautiful Nikon cameras, there were cameras that can record videos. Okay? But people don't want that. Now they are selling those cameras in traffic, all those you know, proper digital camera. People are not buying it again because they can have a phone. When they go to the market, they are not saying, they don't go to the market to go and buy a camera. They want to go and buy a phone, which is the primary purpose of communication. But that phone must have a good camera. So those are the value propositions. So if you are selling a smartphone, you better have a good camera. You better have dual SIM. Now Samsung has gone to dual SIM, right? Because they now realize that people don't want to have two phones. People have multiple SIMs in Nigeria. Okay, so multiple SIM is not a fancy for people outside Nigeria, but because we realize the peculiarity of our situation. Okay, one SIM is okay, is what is recommended. I have some, you know, some people that I work with in Spain. So when they are talking, they say, which of my numbers? You know, sometimes it's something funny. When they are talking, you have plenty numbers, and I just have 3. You know, they said I have plenty. Is 3 plenty? But I said, look, I have to survive. You know, in this Nigeria, you understand. So there must be a value proposition for your marketing plan. And that value proposition is about your brand or your product. And your campaign will center around that value proposition. Okay. And these are the metrics that you use to assess the effectiveness of your marketing initiatives. The marketing plan will also is a living document. Okay, it's a living document. So I'm sure when Techno started, they didn't start with camera. I remember very well. It was dual SIM idea. Okay, so and that was their entry strategy. So and then they positioned themselves, and then of course later the issue of battery, because they now realized that okay, maybe battery, if not sure about dual SIM, but I think those two were the major factor. The idea of camera came in much later. So when they realized that young people are always taking pictures with this phone, and then they began to position themselves as the phone with the best camera. Camon 19, Camon, all of that. But when you take the pictures, really honestly, there's really nothing spectacular. But you now see all the kind of filters. So they are spending more money on the research to do all kinds of filters so that you can have beautiful pictures. So all of these things that you are looking at as your value proposition will also help you to define your target market, the people that you are focusing on. So what is the essence of filter for a phone that you are intending to sell to old people? What concerns Dangote with a phone that will have filter? He will probably be looking at security. So if you have a premium, a high-end phone for certain people, you are looking at what do they value. Okay, so I'm just talking generally to say that you have a target market. What is your interest? You have a value proposition. Is, for example, we have been talking about Techno. So it's a long battery life, 5,000. That's when we started hearing the grammar. None of us ever knew what it meant before. 2,000 milliamperes per hour, 5,000 milliamperes, 7,000. Okay, then we began to hear about memory space because people are now taking pictures. So memory now became important. Okay, 126 MB and gigabytes, sorry, but whatever, 26 gig. So you begin to hear all of those things. Okay, so these are value propositions that must be communicated in your plan. Okay, then the marketing plan is not limited to attracting new customers. There could also be plans on managing and retaining existing customers. So your marketing plan is just not about attraction. Oh, how do we get more customers? It's also about engaging the ones that you have. So that's what the smartphone industry is doing. So they have Camon, they have been, I don't know where they started from. They are on Camon 19 now. Maybe before the end of this year, Camon 20 will come. That's the plan to retain existing customers. So they will tell you that Camon 20 is better than Camon 19 Pro. I know about Camon because we just bought one in the office to be taking pictures in our training, whatever, because my guys in the office were just shouting Camon. I said, okay, no problem. I have a Samsung phone. My picture is very good. And I've not seen the difference, but I don't know, maybe they see it. Okay. So how do they keep me engaged? They tell me that there's another version. They now tell me something is going to happen. They now tell me that they're going to put 4 cameras. That's not for new customers. It's for existing customers, because I know that if I have 4 cameras, 4 dual, or my camera is 48 megapixel, we all began to know about megapixel when mobile phones started coming. They have always been there. There are languages for images, for pictures, for cameras. So these are the value propositions that people, and these are the things that we now begin to see in the communication. So all of those things are the things that you put together in your marketing plan, because you have a target market, you have what is important to them, and you propose the value to them. Okay. Look, for example, let's use another example. Companies that are making Rolex watches. Okay. So people don't buy Rolex to be checking time. You don't buy Rolex to check time. Rolex is not for, if you need a wristwatch to check time. There are many brands in the market. So people buy Rolex for some other reasons, not because of time. Okay? They buy Rolex as a treasure, or as a statement of arrival, or for self-actualization. Now I have a Rolex as part of my collection of watches. I am happy. The feeling of having Rolex cannot be, original Rolex, so this time, cannot be compared to anything. because you know how much you have invested in getting that Rolex. When you want to repair it, maybe when you travel abroad, you take it for servicing. You know, that's a treasure. Okay. So when I am reading an advert, so they will not advertise Rolex in Punch. They will not advertise it, you know, maybe on, so they have the video because there's a target market. So I'm probably going to see a Rolex advert in a magazine inside an aircraft, Emirates. Okay, that's where I'm going to see the advert for Rolex because they know that the people that are going to board it. And then maybe there are probably, I've not entered a business class of Emirates before. So maybe there are also special magazines in that place, but I've seen their A300 or whatever, the one that has sticker. I went upstairs when I saw that place and I know that it's good to have one. Okay, so there are certain magazines that those people are reading there that is not for the other people at the mall side, you know, on there. Okay, but still there are certain things that you also see there. So this is also part of the marketing plan. So the channel, because there is a target market. Okay, so you don't go and advertise your whatever in today's sport, Rolex in all this evening newspaper, PM News, PM Magazine. It's a waste of money. In fact, anybody that takes the decision to go and advertise Rolex, or even if it's for free, that person will be fired. Because Rolex is not for people that want to buy a watch. It's for people that want to, it's feeling of self-fulfillment. I don't know if you know what I mean. So it also depends on, you know, the kind of product, whether it's food, whatever it is, you have your communication. Okay, so what are the critical elements of the marketing plan, which we are already talking about? The market. So you need to define your target market. You need to craft a unique value proposition for them. Okay, you need to have the marketing materials and the medium. Then there must also be an execution plan. Okay, and there must be measurements so that you know if your marketing is achieving the right results. So the beginning is market research, which is the basis for defining the market, target market, like I said, for your product or service. So you have to define the target market, and the essence of defining the target market helps you to be able to concentrate your energy. So like we're saying, Rolex is for older population, the more accomplished people, but it doesn't mean that young people are not buying it. But the communication was never targeted at those people. Okay, so Rolls Royce is for established people, people who are, you know, top of the pyramid. But it doesn't mean that young people that just hit money, you know, let's use that language, are not buying, you know, Rolls Royce. Okay, so the idea is that you are concentrating more on the people that will likely buy your product based on your research, based on what your product stands for. Remember the Maslow hierarchy, the need. So who are the people that need this kind of product? And then there are the people that you are talking to. Okay. Now, you also define the target market so that the resources that you have, okay, you can also optimize it. There's no way you can advertise to everybody. So you would rather focus your energy on advertising to your target market, okay? And that's the one you have, you know, through research, been able to identify properly. Okay, so the result of the activity will create a potential market size for you. Okay, so in Nigeria now, potentially, Rolls Royce knows, sorry, I keep using all this, but I think it's a quick example that we can use. Okay, they know how many. So if you tell Rolls Royce that they should come and open an assembly plant in Nigeria, that they can sell 5,000 units of the product, they will not believe you. Okay, because they have data of the wealth of Nigerians, and from their experience, they know that people will get to a certain level of affluence before they decide to buy this product. So they have the number of the population of the people who are in that space and the socio-economic pyramid. So when they are doing their communication, they are focusing on those people. That's why we are not seeing the adverts. But when we move up, remember I said it that we're always moving up. So when you move up, you will now say, oh, so these people are really advertising like this. That's when you now know that if you go to the presidential suite or the executive suite in Sheraton, you will now see the advert for Rolls-Royce inside that room. You will see a private communication from the MD of Rolls-Royce placed inside the executive room. That's when you know, so these people are advertising, yes. But they are not talking to everybody. They are talking to the people. That's when you will see an invitation to come and have a free drive of Rolls-Royce. Because for you to be able to pay for the presidential suite of Nikon or whatever it is, they know that you will be able to afford the Rolls-Royce. So there you will now see a card, an executive, a pass to come and have a test drive. That's what they do. Okay, so it depends on the industry, it depends on the sector. And like I've also said it the last time, I think it was 2020, I went to Dubai as I was landing. People, all those post Atlantic people, they bombarded, oh, we'll take you a free drive around Dubai. I said, okay, no problem. I just need a free drive. By the time I got to my hotel, they started calling me. The car is already outside. So I hopped into the car. They drove me around small. The next time they went to dump me in their office. And they sold property to me. I said, but I told you people from the beginning that I didn't come to buy property. I just came, to spend a few days and all of that. So, but from their own research, they believe that any Nigerian that can afford the air tickets and come to Dubai should be able to be their customer. Okay, so First Atlantic is not going to come to ShopRite, right? Ikeja, and be sharing flyers there because so many people are coming there. So they know where to reach out to their target market. So just like I said, you'll be amazed that today you pay money to enter the executive suite of Nikon. That's when you see that there's a flyer for Rolex. Okay, there's whatever it is that they use to advertise. It's just that they know where they put them. So, so your primary and secondary research methodology will help you in defining your target market. But just like I said, there's several considerations, especially the socio-economic class. So that's when you hear ABC. So your target will where are they? For example, cowbell milk, when they came and they were doing sachetization of the economy, they were looking at the bottom of the pyramid. They are never going to talk to big men, about buying sachet of milk. Okay, they look at it. Okay, who are the people that can buy? I think it was 10 naira or whatever, how much they were selling that time. So they look at the margin and they look at the volume. This is what they were, and they focused on it. And their communication was on the streets. People were wearing t-shirts on the traffic and selling the strips, the sachet in the strips and all of that. That's their market. That's where they are focusing. You won't see those strips of cowbell milk in a supermarket in a highbrow hotel or a highbrow area. So there's no crime. Your target market can be the base of the pyramid. It can also be the top of the pyramid, but it's essential that you are able to identify your target market. Okay. Now, it is also very interesting that a lot of assumptions are made in defining target markets. Okay, that's for you to be able to make the first move to take actions. But just like I said, the marketing plan is a living document. So after you have rolled out, you are also looking at the market. You are also looking at who are the people that are also accepting our gospel. Let me use that word. So you are also looking at who are the people that are, accepting our message. So from there, you begin to profile them. Okay, sometimes the people that you determine your products to be for are not the ones that are readily accepting the product. So if it doesn't do any harm to your objective, then you might as well begin to look at that new market, new people that are receiving your product, and begin to focus on them and begin to pass your communication to them. So, like I said, it's a living document. The marketing plan is never something that you dump and say we have done a good job. You have to continue to look at it from time to time. Okay, so this is how the market structure looks like. Okay, so for example, in Nigeria, there's a global market. So we can say, so you can contextualize this. You can say, okay, let's take Nigeria to be the global, market, right? 200 million people, all right? So let's say, for example, I am selling biros, okay? So what is the potential market demand for biros? Big. I will also tell you an interesting story about big, you know. Okay, so what is the potential market size? So of a biro for a student, okay? Then I'll look at it. How many students do we have in Nigeria? I'll probably want to focus on that. You remember when we were growing up, the big biro, that's what they were advertising. That's the one we know until many other brands came. So you look at that, that's your total addressable market, okay? Total number of students in Nigerian universities, you know, everywhere. Then you now look at your capacity as a company, okay? So you say, which market can I serve based on my resources? Okay, which market can I reach based on my resources? And that's your serviceable available market. Total addressable market, for example, for Biro is the total number of student population, both university, primary, okay, primary, okay, yeah, primary, but primary, they don't use Biro, okay? So the primary school, no, the primary school actually use pencil. I don't know, maybe, you know, basic 3 or whatever. So you do this calculation and then know that is the total addressable market. But you know that you can't reach everybody. You don't have the capacity to go to the villages. So you look at, okay, which ones can I service? Okay, so you are also able to do this projection, this calculation. You know, remember the last thing I said was that a lot of assumptions are going to be made. Okay, so you make these assumptions based on the number on the statistics that you have. Then the last thing you're going to do is to look at the market opportunity within your reach. So which is now your low hanging fruit. So you're now saying, okay, out of this serviceable market, there's a total addressable market, which is the student population. There's a serviceable available market, which are the ones that can actually buy our products. Then we'll now look at, of these ones that can buy our products, which are the ones that we can easily reach. Okay. Now, it doesn't mean that there are people in the total addressable market that will not buy your product or the global market, but you are not concentrating your energy or resources or your marketing plan on those ones. You are really looking at the serviceable, obtainable markets, because they are the ones that you know that, yes, you can reach them, you like your message, and you know they can get your message. So let me now give you the story about Big. So Big, in those years, they realized that there are salespeople in the north who were selling a lot of these products. And then the story is that there are a lot of out-of-school children. So people go to school more in the south and then the east and wherever. And then why are they selling a lot of their pen in Kano and all those places? So some people thought, oh, it was exports and all of that. So no. So they had to do research. And you know what happened? They found out that the people that are making those traditional caps, the Hausa caps, were using the big biro to draw their lines, to do the design. So they do it on the clothes and everything before they start doing the weaving or whatever. Because the big biro will stay more. It's going to last long till they are able to complete their designs, rather than using pencil that can easily wash off and all of those things. So that activity, that commercial activity of making caps, was consuming a lot of big biro. So can you imagine? The company made biro for students to write, but some other people started using it for making caps. So like I said, if it doesn't hurt your brand, okay, it's not something that is not ethical. So if it doesn't hurt your brand, so what do you do? So maybe a company can now say, okay, let's look for something smart or cheaper for them, or something that will last longer, rather than them buying it. And then if the market accepts it, that's fine. Okay, so sometimes you target a particular market. So the idea for them now is for them to find a communication to see that, okay, this population that is buying our products so much, can we engage them? Can we provide more value for them? Because at the end of the day, you are there to make money in the business. Okay, so you define your market like this, and then you are able to create the message. So in looking at your market, you are looking at who are my customers, what is their gender, are they male or female, okay? So in the wig industry, more women are buying wig. But it doesn't mean that some men are not buying wig, okay? So if you look at the situation, what's it called, bone straight, all of those things, some men know everything, because they buy it for their wife or buy it for their girlfriend. But I can tell you maybe 5% of people that are buying wigs are male, okay? But the wig people are never going to do their communications to focus on the men. So they will focus rather on the gender that they think are going to make these purchases, okay? So that's that. And then when you also see a lot of some other products, they could be very gender sensitive. They focus because they believe that this gender, takes this decision more. Okay, so you're also looking at the geography, right? The sociographics, how do people live their lives, the psychographics, how do people, people's intentions, people's lifestyle, and their behavior. So all of these things are factors that influence your choice of target market, because you're looking at the people that need these products, what do they do, how do they live, and all of those things. And you look at their aspirations, you look at their interests, the level of education, and all of that. Before I lost my mom, we were reluctant in buying her a smartphone because we realized that it was not going to do her much good. So we were probably going to give her to her, and then it will become more complicated. So eventually, my brother-in-law bought her one, and then I will ask her, send something to me on WhatsApp. He was doing something for me, and then take pictures. I say, no, until somebody comes, that will help them. So you need to look at, you are upgrading your Android device. So it's never going to be for an illiterate that does not know the difference between Android 5 and Android 10. Okay, so you have to look at the level of education. Does it matter? Is it important in this product? And then, of course, that will help you to define your target market. Because I don't even know, how do you communicate 120 MB to an illiterate? 120 MB, 126 MB, 36 MB. What difference does it make? Even some of us that are even educated, we can't even really fathom, what it is. Okay, so it's just for you to say, okay, our product is for these people. Do we need this kind of level of education? Do we need this kind of level of exposure and all of that? Okay, so that's very important. In defining our target market, it's very important for our market clarity, because once you are very clear about your market, you will understand what is important to them, and then you are able to communicate appropriately. Okay, then so in our marketing plan or campaign, we must have our unique value proposition. Okay, it's called the USP. So it's a statement that communicates the unique value your brand delivers to its customers. So every organization must strive to have something that is different from what every other person is offering. Okay, and you can only do this if you also know what the others are offering. So as someone who is selling, product or service, you must try to find out what the other companies are providing, so that if you now understand where you have a competitive advantage, either by doing SWOT analysis and all of that, then you are able to craft a unique proposition to them, whether in terms of value, cost, in terms of longevity or color, whatever it is, that you are able to use to distinguish yourself from the other brands. Then you tell them. So, for example, the cowbell milk we were talking about. So they tell you the proposition was that just in time, you are not going to lose. You are not going to waste your money. Your product is not going to expire. So just go to the mala, pick one, and then look at Indomie. It was meant for children. Okay, along the line, adults started taking it. So they now had Hungry Man. What's it called? Hungry Man Pack. Because they realized that not just children. We saw that adults were sitting down and they said, Malam should do Indomie for them. You mix it with egg and everything. But this was meant, it was meant for children. The early campaigns was targeted at children, but now adults are in the mix. Okay. So the idea is that, so what does Indomie noodles? They quick food in 5 minutes or something. There was, the way they crafted it. Okay. They tell you that this is the fastest food that you can ever eat. And then it became a toast for children, for young children. I remember when my younger brother was going for his master's, a whole box of Indomie, the whole box, one of his boxes was filled with noodles, that I had to go and eat. And that's the unique selling proposition that, 5 minutes food. And truly, it was 5 minutes to eat it. Okay. So that's why customers will choose you over competitors. So let's look at the concept of USP. Okay. Just looking at the time. Yeah, I'm sure we'll be able to finish in 15 minutes. So what does your brand do well? Okay. What your competitor do well and what the consumer wants. So you must be able to find the commonality in this place. So the check one is your winning zone. That is what you are doing that your consumer wants and your competitor is not doing. That's your winning zone. Please look at it. The winning zone is what you are doing, part of what you do, and your consumer wants, but your competitor is not doing it. That's your USP. But where you will be losing is what you don't do. Look at it, the red zone. What your competitor does and the customer wants, but you are not doing. That's where you are losing. Okay? The one that is risky and that is tough is you are doing it, the customer wants it, your competitor also wants it. Okay? But look at the blue one. Who cares? Nobody cares about that. The customer does not want it, but you and your competitors are offering it. Nobody cares about it. The customers don't want it, but you and your competitors are promoting it. So that's a waste of time and resources. Okay. So marketing materials and medium. The choice of marketing materials and the medium to be used is determined by the definition and description of the target market. I think I've spoken about this. That when you go to the executive suite of Nikon, Hilton, Transcorp, Abuja, that's when you know that Rolex has flyer. Okay. The fact that you are not seeing it at the reception does not mean that there is no flyer. Okay. The USP forms the core of every messaging of your marketing effort. So your marketing effort must speak to your unique selling proposition. The market target description provides information about all of these things, the demography, that's your target market. So you are going to define your target market based on the geography, their demography, their age, band. Their sociographic, their psychographic, their way of life, their behavior, and all of those things. The choice of the medium, whether traditional or digital or mixed, will be determined by the above description. So that's why the people that are selling food now, they are advertising it through social media. Okay, because the population that they are targeting, they know that they are the digital population, so they know where to reach you. People that are selling products that are made for old people, they would rather use the traditional medium. They use the television, they use the newspaper. Okay. The $1 million question is, what is the most efficient way to reach your target market? So once you understand the target market, you look and you define them. Okay, where do these people get their information from? How do they buy? What is their lifestyle? And that is where you reach out to them to communicate your value. And then, of course, you allocate your budget based on the different marketing items. So these are the different approaches. Okay, you can use multi-channel, you can use online, offline, you can combine both. Okay, banks are doing that. You can use digital communication, use storytelling, case studies, success stories. You can have collaterals, marketing collaterals are your posters, your handbills, and all of that. And then you can also do product demonstration. You can have live demos, you can have trial versions, of your product, for customers to test. And then every plan without an execution is not worth the paper where the plan is written on. So you have a plan, you must execute. After deciding on the most appropriate channel to engage trusted, there must be a plan on how the marketing will be executed. Okay, so the plan must be what is to be done, who is responsible for what, how much of your efforts is to be, of each marketing effort is to be done, and what is the schedule of sequence. So there must be a progression. of activities to be done. And where are you going to get the money from? Okay. And what are the choice of, if you are going to use vendors or third-party providers, you also need to decide on them. Okay, who are the people that do the agents and all of that, the models and all the people that you're going to use. And then you have to produce the content and the materials. And then you also have a contingency plan. Assuming something does not work, what are we going to do? Okay, there must be that. Otherwise, the whole plan will fall on its place and there will be colossal failure. Or you must always have a contingency plan with your marketing plan. Okay, so how do you measure the impact? I guess we are drawing to the end now. So marketing is a business investment, okay? So you want to be sure that there's return on investment. Okay, whatever you do must lead to sales and generate profit. So you have to measure it. And you have to be sure that everything that you are doing has impact. If it doesn't have any impact, you can save that money. Okay, and it's also important to decide on what to measure. So what are we measuring? Very important. Okay, and there's this saying that what you don't measure, you cannot manage. So it's important that we measure. So let's quickly look at the funnel so that we can also determine what to measure. There's a stage of attention or awareness where the customer gets to know about your product. So you are asking yourself, how many people respond to our adverts? That's a measurement. How many people call in to make inquiries? That's a measurement. And so we got 100 people calling when we spent 50,000 naira. If we spend 100,000 naira, how many people called in? That's a measurement. Then interest, how many people asked us to send more information to them? Okay, that is interest. So apart from everybody that has heard and confirmed that they have heard, you know, sometimes the radio, television can tell you where to reach this number of audience. The digital space now is more elaborate. They say total number of reach. That's awareness. So reach is not the customer. So there will be millions of reach, but not all the millions of reach will come contact you. So the ones that contact you are the ones that have showed interest. So you can also measure how many people contacted us. Then desire, how many people want to move further to say, oh, can you explain more to me about this? You know, they now begin to raise objections and do all of those things. And then the last stage is action, which is the people that actually pay. So you will realize that there were 2 million people that were contacted that are aware of your product. At the end of the day, 3,000 bought. That's how it is. From now till eternity, there will be more people that will be aware, and there will be less people that will take action. Less people that will take action. Okay? So, what are the things to measure in the digital space? Okay? We have spoken about the total site, which is a digital. How many people view your page? How many people download your materials? How many subscribers? How many follow-ups? What's the cost per contact? Cost per lead? All of those things you can measure them, digitally. Return on investment. Where is your traffic coming from? Okay, and the SEO metrics. Which words are people searching? Okay, that is directing them to your site. Then the traditional, which is offline. How many people visit our store officially? How many people are coming to our supermarket? How many people are responding to our adverts? How many people are making inquiries? How many people are calling us for meetings? How many sales presentations have we done? How many demo sessions? How many people attended our events? How many customers have we acquired? What is our gross revenue, return on investment, net promoter score, order generated? So all of these things are things that we can measure. Okay, net promoter score is which is NPS, is how many of our customers that we have are happy to recommend us to their friends. So that's a measure of satisfaction. That is, we have 10 customers, and out of these 10, only 2 of them, or 3 of them, or 5 of them, or all of them are happy to introduce their friends. So the more numbers you have, the better you are, because more customers are satisfied with your products. Okay, so that's what the net promoter score does for you. Sorry, my screen is angry. Move. Okay, sorry. I think, I think we're on the last slide. Yes. All right. So questions? Do we have questions? Questions, so that we can call it a day.
Good day, sir. It appears the class is
not on mute. So go ahead, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir, for that very clear and exhaustive lecture on marketing. I know the class is maybe overwhelmed, but I think there's a lot of comments or questions from the house. So let me hold on, let other people speak, then I can come back. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Okay, so if we have questions, you can speak. We have about a minute, less than a minute actually, to make our intentions of questions known.
Okay, Stephen, I think Stephen.
Sorry, Deborah, we're not hearing you properly. You are cracking.